to one wrong button. Now, do you see how many of you are already using ChatGPT for BA work? Okay, very good. Okay, so I see uh, Wilson saying he's using it. What about others? Yeah, Mark says, yeah. Amaryllis says no. Okay, Amaryllis is our past student. Okay, Sulet says yes. Okay, the chat is disabled. Put it into the Q&A. That's okay. Hasley says, no, I have used it, but don't use it regularly. Janelle says that. Then Lawrence, yes, some. Carmen says no. Okay. So I see quite a few of you saying yes, some of you saying partially, and some of you saying not so much. Trust me, I have started using ChatGPT and similar AI tools for my work, and it is actually making me 10 times more productive. So the amount of work I could do before using these tools, and now the amount of work I can do using these tools, there is a 10 is to 1 ratio difference. So obviously, even at Adaptive, just to tell you, in the past, we used to have 3 blog writers almost working full time, producing content for us. All of you know that as a company, we have to keep producing blogs to kind of address different keywords, how people search about it, those kind of things. And obviously, you have to share knowledge content on your website so that people read about it, they come to know about you, and then they finally become a customer. So from those 3 blog writers, we have just one person doing that work today, and that person is again producing much higher quantity and quality of blog because he is using AI. Okay, so obviously we have to find ways to utilize the other 2 BA blog writers, but the blog writer position as such has come down. And I think that's true for almost every company. You go and check with any company, I think the number of people that they had in content writing has surely come down. The same way, the amount of work ChatGPT or other AI tools can do for business analysis is going to be tremendous. So companies are obviously going to be very cognizant of the fact that they possibly don't need to hire more. Like in the past, if we had more work, we will hire more people. That's how businesses ran. Today, they would expect if they already have 3 BAs, can these 3 BAs be leveraged or utilized in a much more effective manner using the tools that is already available to us? Okay, so that's something we have to keep in mind. Maybe we will not lose our job, but the entry of new BAs is going to be harder. And sometimes, if the company does not find a value match, okay, that means somehow you are at a very expensive cost structure, and they find that something else or somebody else can replace that cost structure, they may go for it. See, at the end, companies are capitalist in mind. They are looking at cost benefit analysis. As long as the benefits are not commensurate with the cost, then they close it out. So it's there, it's real, and it is going to impact us. Okay, so that's what I have written here. The unpleasant truth is AI will enable organizations to get more work done with fewer people. Yeah. Even this is an link, I took it from LinkedIn, and you can see almost every sector, especially media and entertainment, which I was talking about. Content is part of media. That's the sector which has been reporting about 92% companies saying they see AI as a risk. Look at software and technology, it's 86%. So it's a huge deal for us. Maybe automotive is telling less because they probably have a lot of manual work to do. Energy is again a lot of manual work. Manufacturing has a lot of manual work. So those sectors are probably not perceiving AI as a big risk. But obviously, the sector to which most of us belong, which is software and technology, we are going to be pretty much impacted by the rise of AI. So obviously, the question is, what do we do in such a case? It's inevitable. So what I'm trying to convey is if you look at the market of financial investments, we do have a concept called portfolio diversification, which means you don't put your entire money into one particular type of instrument. So maybe bonds, equity, real estate, gold. So there are different financial instruments where one can put money. So in case one particular instrument doesn't do very well, the other instruments will kind of counterbalance. And a lot of people say that instruments have some kind of correlations between them. So if one instrument goes up, the other instrument is likely to go down. So there are some correlations people study, but overall, the diversification principle seems to be a good principle to avoid large fluctuation. So this is what I'm also suggesting. Can we get our skills diversified? So if we get our skills diversified, it automatically enables our companies where we work to leverage us better. And in that case, the company is able to get a better value from each of us. And obviously, the company will not ask us to leave the company. No, it's not something that we want, nor the company wants. But if the equation doesn't favor either you or the company, it's not going to work. So, this is what I'm trying to tell you. And this is something which I think is also a good move as you move through your work career. You are not stuck at a particular role. So a lot of us, if I look at myself, we probably started as a requirements analyst. That's the role that I played in very early days of my business analysis work. And our primary focus was to get requirements, understand requirements, manage requirements. That work is still there. It's not that it is going away, but I personally have tried ChatGPT to write requirements, and it is able to write pretty good requirement. Okay, so obviously it frees me up from doing other work. No, I don't have to be stuck to requirements alone. So please don't get stuck to requirements alone. Then you look at things which are very closely aligned to what we're doing. Look at product ownership. Companies are hiring product owners in big numbers. Okay. So if you look at product owner as a role, it's a combination of business analysis role plus project management role. Okay. So if you are an existing BA, you are part product owner already. So you are already a 60% product owner. So moving into product ownership role will not be very hard for 99% of us. I would say almost 100% of us can move into product ownership role without much difficulty. Okay. Similarly, another space that is growing very rapidly compared to requirements analysis world is the data analytics field. Companies across the world are like going gaga over data. Companies have been collecting data. Now there are tools available for companies to leverage this data. So data analytics again opens up very exciting frontiers for us. Okay, although it's a bit more numerical, some of you may find it a little bit challenging because of the mathematics involved, but it's not undoable. Product ownership is far more doable because the nature of the tasks and concerns are very similar to what we are having today. Another world which is opening up quite a lot is the focus on cybersecurity, which again, I have taken three of these spaces based on IIBA's own evolution. So if you look at IIBA, how it has evolved over a period of time, IIBA was primarily focused on requirements analysis for a very long time. So we had CBAP, CCBA, we had BABOK, we still have BABOK. Okay, but those are primarily focused on requirements analysis. Then IIBA also observed this trend and it said, okay, let's create certain standard guidelines, processes, and certification around these emerging areas. So that part IIBA has already done. The fourth area is something that has been very close to my heart, and I believe many of you probably would also agree with me. Once we become a senior business analyst, we should be really moving into strategic analysis role. So in that role, you are actually looking at market, competition, those kind of aspects and coming up with innovative products, innovative solutions for your company. Because these kind of work, the strategic analysis isn't something ChatGPT can do. No, it can do very repetitive, routine work, but it cannot do strategic analysis that easily at this time. I'm not saying it will not be able to do it in 3 years' time, maybe, but at this time, it's still not so capable of doing strategic analysis because it also requires a lot of understanding about your own company. So that's again another interesting space I would recommend all of us to explore and see how we can move from the requirements analyst role to a more enterprise architect, business architect, strategic analyst role. Good. So then anytime we look at a role movement, as I have been talking, there are three things that we should kind of take care of. One is obviously we need to understand role specific processes. Like analytics role, what kind of processes they are likely to follow. Product owner role, what kind of specific processes they are likely to follow. Then the tools and the behavioral skills. Okay, the good part is as an existing BA, we already are pretty good at behavioral skills. There isn't much of a difference you will see when you move to another role. The behavioral skills part is pretty much well done for you. So that's a very good news. And a lot of these processes and tools that we talk of, they also would overlap with what we already have been doing. We have been studying in Babok. It's not going to be dramatically different. So, and already many of you, I believe, are already IIBA members. If not, please be a member of IIBA because that will allow you to get the content around other schemes that I am talking about. So again, as I said, you already bring along behavioral skills to a great extent. I'm not saying that there is no scope for improvement. You are already good at this because as a business analyst, these are something that is expected of us. And most of us have been practicing them for quite some time. Then I kind of created a very simple process for all of us. And this is a 6-step process which will tell you what we can do to expand our BA skills into related areas. I'm not asking you to study data science at this time because that's a little bit far away from what we do. Or I'm not asking you to become a marketing specialist or a finance specialist because those are a little bit away. But product ownership, cybersecurity, these are very closely aligned spaces to what we are already doing. So one is role-specific process, role-specific tools. Obviously, getting mentored always helps, and looking for opportunities to apply our learning that we are learning in the new space. Getting certified always is a good idea because two things. One, certification forces you to study. Okay, so that's the way I always look at things. I always say, when I get certified, I also study a subject with lot of intent and focus. Otherwise, generally, we don't study a subject with that intensity. That's what I'm looking for. And obviously, if you are looking for a role change, and especially if you're looking for a role change outside your organization, then maybe you have to look through a job selection process as well. Okay. So I have put this first task, which is to learn the role specific processes. And I have taken one particular area, which is data analytics. And there is a pretty good book from IIB itself. And if you are a member of IIB, you get it for free. So already the guidebook gives you a 6-step processes for data analytics. It also gives similar things for product ownership, similar things from for cybersecurity as well. Okay. So we have good resources at hand provided by IIBA. Then obviously every type of role that you look for, there will be some specific tools. So for example, many of you as business analysts, requirements analysts, you're already pretty familiar with Excel. I don't think any one of us will say, I don't know Excel at all. It's unlikely. So, but again, we have to kind of move a little bit forward. Some of us may know basics of SQL, which I also learned as a requirements analyst because we were looking at data, data collection, data analysis. SQL is something many of you may know. Power BI is again not a very complicated tool to learn. Tableau is again a bit more complicated. Python is, of course, the most complicated one because that's more like a programming language. So many of you may be comfortable, may not be comfortable, but the remaining four are not that hard to learn and get going with those tools. So I always keep saying a mentor always helps you because I would always love to have a mentor for myself as well. If I can get a good mentor on data analytics, data science, I'd be happy to work under him or her. Okay, so because that can speed up the learning process much more than what I can do myself. No, if I'm learning it myself, it obviously takes a lot more time, but a mentor can guide you and help you to move the ladder much more quickly. Then obviously always look for opportunities to apply your learning. I have been trying to do a lot of data analytics work at Adaptive now because that's a need of the business as well. And we do find some interesting patterns, trends, in which countries we make most of our sales, from where do people come. And surprisingly, we saw that we get students from 90 plus countries, but of course, about 60 of them have very small numbers. That's like the Pareto principle if you apply the Pareto principle. Again, I have more or less put it for data analytics, but the same thing applies for product ownership or cybersecurity. Those areas are of greater interest to you. So it depends on your fascination, interest, where you want to grow. Product ownership is probably the easiest one to grow. Analytics will be the next one, but analytics again is a much bigger space compared to product ownership. So again, as I keep saying, certifications always help. It builds your credibility. It forces you to study in a very structured manner. So leverage them to get yourself branded and within your own company itself. If you're certified, you're likely to be picked up for a newer role. No, because the company also gets the confidence that you can do something more than what you have been doing so far. Again, some of you may look for an opportunity outside. So that is something I always keep saying. If you're not looking for an opportunity outside, it does not mean that you will not face an interview. Okay. I've seen many companies, even for internal job change or role change, they do go through a very structured selection process within your own company itself. So get ready for that, have a good profile created. Then some of you, if you're looking for outside, LinkedIn groups can be very helpful. Then again, this is more from entry level perspective I wrote. But I believe even at a senior role, you may face an interview within your own organization or maybe outside organization as well. I trust all of you know a little bit about us, but I'll just take 2 minutes to introduce ourselves and then I'll be open to take your question. So we as a company are focused on business analysis world and specifically on IIBA certifications. Although next year we do plan to do a little bit of more work in terms of a certification on strategic analysis. That is something which has been in our radar for quite some time. Been talking to IIBA as well if they are open to do something in that space, but doesn't look like at this time. So we're waiting for 2025 to launch that course. And maybe some of you would like to join that course as well. Um, so this is again one of our boot camps, which we are planning to run almost every month next year. This year also we're running, but the frequency is a little low. But next year, other than December and January, we are going to run it for 10 months. So a student can join or a member can join any month. They will cover CBDA, then they will also go through the tools like SQL, Tableau, Power BI, Excel. All this we will cover every quarter. So again, this guarantee is always where there, they will be there. So it has been one of the hallmark of our company. I trust you have met some of us as a faculty member. I am here inside. I think my numbers are a little old. I can change that. You're likely to uh, meet Victoria as well. She is an amazing trainer. She was doing data science PhD about 20 years back. So you can imagine the kind of authority she has on data. Tom, again, is one of the very data enthusiasts. Laura is pretty good. She is certified for CBAP, CBDA, CPOA, almost all known standards. We all are very committed to our field of work. So you will never find a good set of trainers compared to us. I'm kind of quite confident about it. Been very, very choosy about with whom we work. Um, Hundreds of career transformation stories. So whenever you get a little time to take a look at them, so a couple of free things that you can also download from our website. There's also a Thinkific portal which you can go ahead and take a look. There are a lot of good resources available to you. And if you need something that you feel will be helpful to you, do let us know. One of the books that we are trying to complete is Generative AI for Business Analysts, and maybe some program on that as well. Because generative AI is something that will probably affect us a lot more than the plain AI. So lots of content here. Again, I have given here. Okay. So this is the webinar coupon code that I was telling about you. So all of you who buy something from us, you get an extra month of access uh, at no cost. So usually our courses are for 6 months. That's also intentionally because we want you to complete. So if we give a lifelong access, nothing will get done. That's what I've seen. When you get a lifelong access, the course never gets over. So you also don't get the benefit. That's why we want to prod students to do things within 6 months. That's about it. So I've done a lot of talking. And let me do one thing. Let me pause it here. And then let me go to your Q&A session and see if there are any questions that I would like to. Yeah, a lot of you are saying not using AI. Yeah, so new to BA, okay. Okay, scared to use it, working in the bank industry. Yeah, don't worry. I think it's just a tool. No? Long back, we were afraid of using computers. I know people who were so scared to touch the computer, believing that if they press some key, something might happen. It might blast or something like that. That kind of a fear I have seen in reality. People being worried about computers. Now that fear is gone. We're so comfortable in using computers. Same way, all of us will become quite familiar in using AI products very, very soon. They're not. They're not going to harm us. Of course, always remember uh, it does produce a good quality content, but not necessarily correct content all the time. So you have to do a manual review of what it is saying and check with your own knowledge what the tool is telling you. Does it make really sense? So if you feel that the tool is not making sense, maybe you have to run it with another person, or if you are absolutely sure that it is telling something wrong, you can highlight and say, this is not what I think. is right. Okay, Gregory. Okay. Yeah, I can understand. The data security will always be a bit of a concern, as long as if you're pushing data to the tool, that is something a lot of companies are worried about. Uh, but I think if you look at Google search, when you are submitting something to Google, Google knows about it. No. Similarly, I don't think any company has ever said that we will not allow Google search. No. So that kind of fear will be there, but over a period of time, people are talking about their own private AI systems, which will be confined to their network. And probably large organizations already would have a lot of data which can be leveraged to create their own AI systems. So maybe we'll have public AI systems, private AI systems, and some hybrid as well. Okay, okay. So Indy says, how is it possible to use ChatGPT or other tools when the source data is to some extent not complete or accurate? I understand Indy. I never think it's completely right. Uh, but I have personally used ChatGPT to write requirements for one of our systems, and it has given me requirements which I did not think of. So even with so much experience, so much working on a specific domain like the learning domain, it still didn't occur to me. So I am always thinking I have certain knowledge. The tool is giving me certain knowledge. I marry both of them. I neither take my knowledge as perfect. My knowledge itself is imperfect, incorrect sometimes. The tool is also going to be imperfect and incorrect sometime. But when you start matching both the sides and in the manual review process, you'll still see a significant value in what the tool can do for you. Okay, automotive has had automation for decades. Yeah, true, true. Learn how to develop AI. That's nice. Bit of oscillations in your backdrop. Okay. Thank you, David. We'll do that. Ask questions or after the webinar. You can ask questions anytime. And now is the question time anyway. Freshers who are starting their Ah, freshers is something that you have to figure out because I don't think any company would expect a fresher to use generative AI or AI tools. So they are essentially looking at your learnability, basic understanding of the processes. So if you show basic understanding of BA or data analytics space, and you are someone who can prove to the company that you are willing to learn, I don't think companies will have a problem in hiring you. No? So I always go and talk to a client and I try to show examples of my learnability. So, for example, with one client I worked, it was into optics, physics. Okay. And I still managed to work with the client in a very effective way. So I told them that I need 3 months' time to learn about the domain because I'm completely unfamiliar with the domain. But within 6 months, I was pretty much working with all the domain SMEs without much trouble. So I used that example to convince other clients that if I could learn optics as a domain in 6 months, I can learn your domain as well, as long as it's not too mathematical. Some domains can be very mathematical, then it's hard, but otherwise you can learn pretty much any domain, and there are some good domain training content also available. Go and take a look at APQC that has some amazing content on various domains. Um, we have been thinking of doing some domain content training for some time, but we haven't really been able to. Maybe IIBA also can pick it up as a good project. No, VAs also need some domain awareness. That's again an opportunity which has not been very well served or need well served. Abdul has a good question. Sometimes technical PMs don't value as much. Um, that's probably a developer who has become a PM. So the value does not come in. implementing something wrong. You know, a technical PM can implement anything that he or she wishes to implement. But as a BA, the value that we bring is the clarity on requirements, uh, prioritizing requirements in a very structured manner, understanding enterprise needs, aligning the requirements to enterprise needs. Those are things which neither the PM will do or a technical person will do. So please understand your strength and communicate those values that you bring to the table. So the value that you bring to the table is understanding enterprise strategy, understanding requirements quality, aligning requirements to enterprise strategy. These are things which are very valuable, trust me. Hmm. Uh, yeah, Larry, we do. As part of our data analytics bootcamp, we do conduct hands-on training on Tableau, Power BI, Excel, Python. I don't know, but I think my colleague who takes Python, Olivia, would probably know better. But there is hands-on module for all the tools that we talk. Oh, Janel says I'd be very interested in the strategic analysis course. Yeah, that has been in my mind for quite some time. I have been talking to IIBA as well. Hopefully, we will see some light of the day in 2025, not in 2024. Uh, Dan has an interesting question. Okay, CISSP is very well accepted as a security standard, but the one which IIBA has created, it's more about building security from application requirements design stage itself. It's not so much on network security, although it talks about network security, but basically making the applications far more secure. So that's something we always have to keep in mind, that designing security or security by design is much better than trying to secure something after you have built it. That's the afterthought. Here is we are looking at security from the very beginning stage, requirement stage itself. So if we have good security requirements created, then obviously they'll get implemented. Okay, yeah, I understand. I think AI and security would be a good, interesting topic. Let me see if I can get Bindu, the IIBA Europe director, to speak about it in one session, because she is spearheading the cybersecurity things for IIBA. So maybe I'll request her, have her in one of these podcasts. That will be an amazing podcast. Maybe I should write it down. Give me a second so that I don't forget. Okay. So because a lot of you have asked questions about AI and security, that can be a very interesting topic to talk about. AI plus security. Let me write Bindu's name. Okay. Done. Okay. The coupon code. Let me go back. This is the coupon code. I'll keep it on. Yeah, I think a lot of you are saying data security issues, so we'll see. NS says, what is the future of BA with the revolution of AI tools? Hmm. So please, NS, it's very simple. Every tool makes us more productive. So keep that in mind. So obviously, as productivity improves, our expectations also change. Say, for example, earlier I would have accepted if a blog writer wrote 2 blogs in a day. I'm okay. It takes 4 hours to think, ideate, write a blog. Today, if with AI, the person says, I'll write 2 blogs in a day, I'm going to question it, because you can do much better ideation, reviews. So I would expect at least 6 to 8 blogs to come out on a day's effort. The same thing will apply to us. People will expect us to deliver more in the same time. Yeah? So we should be able to write requirements faster, better quality requirements, maybe work on more number of projects, pick up higher number of work. The same thing is happening to development as well. The speed of development is also changing. So what companies could do in years, now they're able to do it in months because of the speed with which development can happen. And people are predicting that sometime in near future, development will almost be instantaneous. And you are already seeing things, no? You can get a website built in 30 seconds, 1 minute. This should have been a 1 month project 10 years back. Uh, One of you have asked where all AI can be used for BAs. One of the areas that I have personally explored is requirements development. It is an amazing tool to develop requirements, validate requirements. There are tools now available which use AI to check your requirements quality. You can develop prototypes using AI. You can do a lot of things using AI as a business analyst. And usually, when I say business analyst, I mean requirements analyst. Yeah, trade secrets is coming up a lot of times. Search engine. Yeah, security seems to be a lot of concern from many of you, which is understandable. Uh, Bonsu, anything with respect to commercials, I'm not the best person to answer. Please write to our customer success team. It's a very simple email ID, cs@adaptiveus.com. They are the best people to help you. I'm more of a content expert. You can treat me in that way. Okay. Jared, I believe so. That's what we are planning to do. Not only write use cases, you can develop models, you can do a lot of things. So I and Victoria and one more professor in Northeastern University, we wanted to write a book together. Uh, Somehow we could not complete the book this year, but that's something we should try in the month of December because we will have some free time in December and try to release it in first quarter of next year. Okay, sure. Uh, yeah, one of you also asked talking about product management. Please remember, BA to PM, business analyst to product management. The intermediate role is PO. Okay. So you don't try to jump directly from one role to another because it's a long jump. Instead of that, you from a BA, you become a PO. From a PO, you can always become a PM. That's a much more gradual and acceptable shift. Hmm. Okay. Not right now, Vednarayan. We don't have any domain content at this time, but that's something worth writing about and considering. At least start with some high level domains like finance, banking, insurance, and then probably come down to more specific domains. You will receive a copy of the recording. Don't worry about it. If we are members, can we access study guides without paying? Of course. If you are a member of IIBA, all the guides published by IIBA will be accessible to you. There is no extra cost to access study guides which are published by IIB. Ah, yeah, process design is something that I have not really tried, although I tried a tool which can draw diagrams for you. But to what extent the swim lane I did not see. I saw it more like a flow chart. But I think the way AI is developing, very soon we should have a tool, or we already might have a tool, which should be able to draw BPM diagrams out of the descriptions that you provided to it. So, so AI is rapidly developing. Even 2 years back, it was very different. In 2 years, it had jumped quite a lot. And I'm believing the jump will be even bigger and it will become smarter, faster in next 1 or 2 years' time. Good. So it looks like I have tried to answer all your questions. Let me see if I still have some time in hand. How much time do we have in hand? Oh, we still have about 10 minutes in hand. So is there any other question that you folks would like to ask me? There's someone with an anonymous attendee. Uh, so I don't know who is the person. So I try to answer your question on process design and improvement. Is there any other question that you have in your mind? No? Anyone else with any other question in mind? All good? Okay. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us today. I'm glad you spent some time with us. And then, if you still have any suggestion on the topics that we should be doing webinars on, I would be happy to know about it because end of the day, we want to serve the community a lot better. So I do see some interest on strategic analysis. I do see some interest in generative AI. I see a lot of interest in security and AI. So that's why I made a note of that topic, and I'll speak to Bindu and see if that's something we can do it together. Um, then I'm also doing a live webinar with IIBA in the month of October. So if you guys are open, you can come and join that as well. That's a topic on agile analysis. Hopefully, that will also be an interesting topic to learn about. Okay. Thank you so much and have a lovely day or a lovely evening. Um, that's about it. Okay. Bye bye.